As you can imagine, no seat belts.
Then drive slow, I guess.
I guess not.
Oh wow, it's like a roller coaster ride, huh?
I need to rev it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, are you enjoying Portugal?
Absolutely, I'm absolutely enjoying Portugal. It's such a diverse place. Good weather, nice culture.
Lead with vision, inspire with innovation. Enter the genius inside.
So tell me a little bit about your experience at the Web Summit. You came, you were invited, you decided just to come.
So yeah, this is my second time at both in Lisbon and Web Summit. I decided to come here to discover or uncover the Web3 community, specifically in Lisbon and the surrounding towns and districts, and I'm currently focusing with my business on product development and angel investing, so investing in startups and allocate money. So I made appointments with a lot of companies already throughout the week, so next week from the 11th until the 14th. And yeah, there's so much to explore. I mean, a lot of great speakers coming and exhibitors, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting week.
So what's your take on the fact that Web3 has cooled off a little bit with with AI hubs?
Yeah, I saw that. So, I mean, the interesting dynamic is that Web3 is always associated to however the crypto industry does, right? So the financial market bit is always tied to, okay, how are the major cryptocurrencies doing? And then of course there's tons of other factors. I think it cooled off simply because we are nearing now the 4-year cycle, if there's any cycle, and yesterday we had a new president elected in the US, which is Donald Trump, and I think the attention is now with AI because it's more, I mean, it's still quite untangible for most companies still, but I think it's more tangible practically from an implementation side than blockchain. So this is just my personal observation. With AI, it's simply you can use a GPT and tie it to your application via an API and then query information and use models. With blockchain, it takes a little more work, POCs and preparatory work. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. I don't think that it's gone. I just think it's just taking a break from current events, and also that's where the money goes, right? The VCs are allocating money based on what's most promising, growth factors, what markets are growing fastest, and with AI, it's not only the size of the markets, it's also how fast can a market grow, which is a slightly different way of thinking about industries. So yeah, that will be my estimation. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Yeah, yesterday we had a conference at a very large Portuguese law firm, and we were discussing about what were the lessons of some blockchain failures.
Yeah.
And I think that we reached the consensus that there were some failures that helped us become more manage better risk, do better due diligence on certain projects.
Yeah.
Search for value, search for more value and more community value than speculation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah. And
additionally, also look for ways to create community experiences.
Yeah.
So that was a good take on that.
Yeah.
I do think that the good blockchain projects will continue to have success.
I agree. Yeah.
And I do think that some blockchain projects, especially the ones that create value and that generate community ownership, engagement, and monetization for community members, will actually be great projects to be involved with.
Absolutely. So you followed up. I mean, we got in touch via LinkedIn, and you saw that presentation. I think you liked it about the post-web concept, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the post-web concept, if I can just go into a little detail here, it's very complementary to what we call Web3. And the interesting question is whether Web3 has time to evolve enough to catch on, or will it be replaced or eaten up by a larger concept, which would be this post-web paradigm. So the post-web paradigm is basically the idea that with ubiquitous computing and screens dissolving and disappearing to the background and all the tech going back to the back end, and also using more platforms, using more sophisticated large language models that not only process language, because language can only process and perceive a limited amount of reality. Because text as the OS of a culture, or generally humanity, is constrained. You know this famous saying, a picture says more than 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Right?
Agree.
So imagery and sensory information in the future, I believe, will be mixed up with language, and that will expand the way we can interact in society, and that has a huge influence on also how we interact through interfaces. And I believe that interfaces in the browser will not completely disappear, but they will be minimized. Another reason is that we have an information overload of stuff happening. Also, if you think about feeds that we scroll from upside down, that is already overburdening people. People having a 24/7 mindset, always online. All of that feeds into how do we actually onboard people and focus again on what's important. So the idea behind this post-web is to really think beyond the current, okay, what is the limitation, and expand and refocus on what's possible, or how can people actually get back to their daily lives and focus.
Reconnect as well sometimes.
Reconnect, yes. You read about my article, which is the Metamodernism article. So the Metamodern is, for everybody that doesn't know, so there was the modern age thought school or philosophy, roughly from after the war. Everything is based on growth, you got to rebuild, everything lays in ruins. And then, so it's optimism. Then we had postmodernism, which is roughly commodification of everything as a service, skepticism, distrust in organizations and governments. And now we're slowly approaching this ambiguous age of what some people call the metamodern, which is a mix of the optimism of the modern and the skepticism of the postmodern. And that translates into both things, which is idealism and realism. And if you look at blockchain and AI, it's basically the change, the switch to new ownership models and governance. So what is possible? People still striving for improvement, but people are on the other side very realistic, because they can see everything with the transparency that the internet gave us. So they're very realistic about, okay, there are wars and there's climate change, and you can basically see what people do in real time. So the metamodern is basically an approach to explain that, and the post-web is filling into this.
And how do you see organizations and even corporations working on, and even technology players working on ways to help humans become better versions of themselves?
Yeah, so I think one of the fallacies, or one of the troubles that the current web gives us, is that The good thing is that over time, in the past 15 years, we slowly could map out society in a way that things get a platform, minorities are made visible, they're empowered. That's a positive, but what sometimes falls short is not the empowerment or privilege, but the responsibility that comes with it.
Yes.
So I am part of this group, but okay, I'm entitled to do A, but what is actually my responsibility? How do I contribute to make things better? And I think these technologies can help to rebalance that, because they also hold you accountable. A huge part of blockchain is the accountability part, and not only I can basically do whatever I want, where I want, how I want, with who I want, as long as I pay money and I subscribe to the service. In the future, there's also this, I know exactly what the price is, be it a smart contract or not. The smart contract basically gives you information symmetry. It tells you from the beginning, if you engage in this activity, and this also influences your expectation. If I engage in a journey to Portugal, I know exactly, this is how long it will take, this is how much it will cost if I give, if I outline the scope of my travel. Is it business oriented? There's much more understanding around what it will entail, what is the cost time-wise, monetarily, and this is also how I can benefit. Yeah.
And how do you, because what we've seen, we're seeing a lot of, and I don't want to get political here, but we're seeing a lot of populism conquering spaces that were not taken by any sides.
That's true.
Do you think that technology can help, for this matter, to reduce populism with ways to confront fake news and lies in discourses?
Yeah, I think on one side, so first off, I would say to take both sides. I think on one side, technology is a tool, but sometimes it breaks out of that because it changes the nature of how things are done. So sometimes it starts as a tool, but then as it changes the nature of how things are done, it influences culture in a way, because it's tied to opportunity and again, this idealism, how things could be, right? And what I think is that if we focus or we talk about the fake news problem, that all the information comes from people who are sometimes more or less qualified. Surely it's democratized that people can take a picture and say, you know what, I've been to this place, I've seen it, but they can still take sides. What would be interesting is to in the future have sensors that can, nothing is very objective at all in society or in the universe, but to have like secondary, tertiary sources of evidence, where
like oracles, but like secondary oracles.
Exactly, something that is like where a third person, like in blockchain, the double entry bookkeeping, where you have the third eye. The third person, the third or fourth hand or eye that can say, you know what, that is actually true, or I also had that experience. And the more, again, decentralized in that case we can make it, because I believe decentralization is much of an overused term, very romanticized, but I believe it's a spectrum. I believe there's no end state to being super decentralized. I think it's more like how much you can disassociate, distribute your governance and your computational or your operations, that it works for a majority of people, or for as many people as possible, That's what I would say.
Yeah. Do you have any final comments, any ideas that you'd like to share about, your stay here? Also, on this theme of becoming a better version of yourself?
I think specifically looking at Portugal or the city Lisbon, it's such a historic place of exchange, of trade, of different cultures having lived in this place. So I think it's the best place for technology to settle and people come together to discuss this and look forward and be optimistic about the future. I think that's the way to go, and I think we should be not so pessimistic about the future, but we should also look at the bright side.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Being very optimistic has always pushed progress and has always achieved things that mankind.
Be metamodern in that sense. Be optimist, but also realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I agree with you. So good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rui.
And I think if we had a good one.
Yes.
Even though it was
agree.
A crazy one.
Agree.